Hi, and welcome back to the Mob Mentality Show. I'm Chris Lucian, and co-host is Austin Chadwick. And today we're going to be talking about the mob janitor anti-pattern. So, Austin, what are you thinking here?
Yeah. So this is a super quick one for Chris's hot take. There's a lot of great mobbing patterns and anti-patterns, and we'll put links in the show notes to those. But one I haven't really experienced until lately. It could be called like the mob janitor anti-pattern, or maybe the kind of holy fool, XP holy fool anti-pattern. And so that can kind of come from Russian literature a long time ago, where it's this idea of someone who believes the ideals so strongly that everyone else thinks they're an idiot or not smart.
Sure. Yeah,
the Takes the ideals of the culture and lives them out to the T, and then people are like, "That's crazy. We should never do that." So I've seen this happen recently, where um, everything I say is seen as so extreme that it's largely just ignored. And then any XP stuff happens after hours, non-mob hours, to clean up the code and stuff like that.
yeah.
I think it's this lack of traction left where, well, I do want the code to be clean, so it turns into this solo or learning time effort to make the code clean. There's an anti-pattern out there in the wild. And what's your hot take on it, Chris?
So I do think that people do have a trouble living within extremes, right? And so there are these things that we talk about, like self-organizing teams and holding retrospectives and finding ways to move things forward. And so often a team, may or may not uh, agree on everything, right? There's like some level of common denominator, and then you build up. And I think that that's a little bit of a difficulty with extreme programming as well, right? So if you're not in a command and control system, and you have people that maybe don't necessarily think that the extreme in extreme programming needs to be dialed up to 11, then you will get a essentially a dissonance, right? And there are just a few ways to deal with it. I think you either need to spend the time, I guess, coaching and developing that team, or highlighting the issues so that it then can be the product of a retrospective, and then retrospecting toward something different than what you're doing now, or you need to be in a command and control environment and tell everybody they have to do XP to the T, and even people's definitions of what XP to the T is are going to vary, and so it does it is challenging. And what others might think when they see it from the outside is like, this is the best XP I've ever seen, but you might be in the middle of it in the mob janitor role with a more extreme version or definition of what clean code is and what fully tested means. Because I think in a lot of environments, people are just thankful that anybody's writing tests at all. Uh,
Yeah.
and so, but I think striving for excellence is a very important thing. And I think, um, especially in a scenario where you're not having to hire a lot, or you don't have a lot of turnover, then you do get you do get the longer run of being able to work on that problem. But especially with high frequency turnover, you are just dealing with whatever impression that person has when they first join the team, and then you need to establish a baseline, and then from the baseline iterate on what your expectations are. So that's
Nice.
my hot take.
Nice. No, that's awesome. Yeah. And I think whenever I've found myself in this role, I think because I've tried XP level 2, level 5, maybe level 6, and seen its results, in my opinion, quite poor, I would elect to be the janitor anti-pattern and stick to my guns, then go down that road again, because I've done that and felt the pain and the stresses before. But I like what you said
Right.
that you are looking for a place where that will be appreciated and listened to. And, maybe there's people who want to work that way too. Or you kind of retain that role for a long term and you're just waiting for the next pain to finally click with somebody to try something else. You know what I mean? And
Right.
maybe it's a very long-term coaching move where the hermit in the cave, they're like, we're having a lot of problems. You say a lot of weird stuff, but we're ready to try anything now. Can you come out of your cave and show us the thing? Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
if you
Yeah,
think back to when mobbing first started and when Woody was hired and when I was hired and like all that, all of it was a product of an emergency, right?
yeah,
And then years later, when there was the formation of our new department and our team began to grow, and I wrote about it in that experience report. That was also a product of another emergency. And at my last company, so often things have to be falling apart for the rest of the team to say, yes, we'll try anything else, right? And so I've seen that multiple times in my career. It's a lot easier, and that's why I advise people to not just live with the status quo, but it's very hard. Like, if you're the person in the middle of it and you are trying to influence change on that, sometimes you need to capitalize on bad luck, right?
yeah.
And so when things go wrong, it's like, hey, like we could have done something different here. Let's do a retrospective. Let's really dive into, is it worth, would we have saved much more money had we had a better habit around this, going forward.
Nice, nice. Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, I think obviously it's not an ideal state, but maybe it's the best of all possible worlds given some context until enough emergency arises or you can't find a better place to be where it's immediately appreciated or something like that. But it's also good for the person who feels in the extreme and not being listened to be open to experiments and try other ways as well, at least that are safe ways to do it. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Have you seen this anti-pattern audience? Have you seen this out in the wild? What's your hot take on it? What to do in this situation? Acceptable, unacceptable, never, always, sometimes. We'd love to hear what you think. Like and subscribe. Reach out to us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and more, and the YouTube comments. And share this with someone else to join the conversation. Adios and have a good one. See ya.
Bye, everybody.